We've all heard that honesty is the best policy. We've heard it so often that this old maxim has basically lost any kind of weight. It's dry, it's tasteless, which I find really interesting because honesty is anything but dry. Honesty is dirt and blood and bones. Honesty is getting down deep into the muck of something, into the darkness of something, to reveal the true light of it. And this video is here to explore honesty and its connection with Hekate and how you can use this magical, powerful practice in your life to create something that feels more true and more beautiful and more real for you. Hello lovelies, welcome to Squeaky's Cauldron. I'm your host, Sarah Evergreen. I am a spiritual coach specializing in inner child work, shadow work, boundaries, and working with deities. And this is my beautiful channel. As always, with any episode on Hekate, I like to start with an opening prayer, just to get into the space and invite her to be with us. If you would like to follow me along in this prayer, that's great. Go ahead and get comfy. If not, feel free to skip ahead about 1:30, maybe 2 minutes, and rejoin us on the other side. So if you are partaking in this prayer, go ahead and settle down into your seat. Take a deep breath and let your shoulders drop. And just let my words flow over you. Hail Hekate, Queen of Witches, our journeys are so blessed. Each key you grant us unlocks great power. Grateful we are for all your keys. The key of connection, which reminds us we are not alone. The key of solitude, in which we may come home to ourselves. The key of forgiveness, for that which we cannot change. The key of courage, to face and overcome adversity. The key of desire, which brings us closer to you. The key of vision, so that we might move freely. The key of honesty, which brings us peace. The key of curiosity, so that we might live a life of truth and joy. And the key of devotion. Hekate, I live my life in service to you. Guide me, make me ready. Illuminate my next right step. Help me to see more clearly and align more fully with my highest purpose and my highest self, so that I might better serve you, serve myself, and serve those around me. Aho. Okay, thank you. If you joined in, thank you for partaking in that process. And if you decided to skip forward and rejoin us, thank you for honoring your boundaries. Let's get into this meat and bones kind of episode. So, honesty. Honesty, the key of honesty from Hekate unlocks the Gate of Unrest. The Gate of Unrest comes from lying to ourselves, lying to others, from creating an internal dissonance between what is real and what is not. It starts with what we are willing to accept for ourselves as truth and untruth. Because there's something in you that always knows the truth, your specific truth. When we're stuck at one of the gates, it manifests very often in the same basic ways. Senses of being angry all the time, feeling bitter, feeling powerless. Like these are all beautiful, beautiful flags that tell you something isn't right. And then you have the opportunity to practice inquiry and curiosity, which is next week's key. It gives you the opportunity to look at yourself and to start to make changes if that's indeed what you choose to do. For me, the Gate of Unrest often feels like I have an elephant in my throat, which of course makes sense because honesty is all about living your truth, expressing your truth. So when you're not doing that, the throat is going to get tighter. Your voice may change. When I'm in this place, my voice gets higher and I start to do this with my eyebrows? I can't help but do that with my eyebrows when I let my voice do that. So, when the throat is relaxed and we're able to move our truths through that expression, whether it's figuratively or literally, there's a lot more movement of energy here. And for me, it feels like soul death, like I'm getting smaller and smaller, like I'm losing touch with something really vital in me, which I am, my truth. And when we utilize Hekate's key of honesty, we unlock the Gate of Unrest, and it leads us to peace. It leads us to a place where we're no longer living in dissonance with our truer selves. There's a quote by Rumi that I think really beautifully illustrates this. That which is false troubles the heart, but truth brings joyous tranquility. Now, he didn't say that truth brings niceness, that truth brings pleasantness. No, joy is tranquility. And those two things, joy and tranquility, are pretty meaty things in and of themselves. So a little story time for y'all. This gate became most clear to me when I was near the end of my marriage. I'd been living for years in a certain level of dishonesty with myself first, and then with the people around me. So I was surrounded by people who didn't actually know who I was because I wasn't willing to embrace who I was and bring that to the fore. What this ended up looking like for me was health issues. I started having gut pain every time I ate something. I had some issues with cysts on my ovaries. I was having panic attacks, crying underneath my desk at work before work started. And I started doing really self-destructive behaviors, things that hurt myself and others, because I was, in essence, my inner child who wanted so badly to just be heard and honored was lashing out. When I finally did step into more honesty, I'm not going to say it was complete honesty because I had no idea what that was at the time. I'd never been modeled that. I hadn't learned that. I absolutely hadn't practiced that. But when I was able to take steps in that direction, it did end my marriage. It did completely change my life. Eventually for the better, but there was a while where it felt like going through absolute hell. And if you've been lying to yourself and to the people around you for long enough and deep enough, that's very likely what's going to happen, which can be really scary. I get that. But I wonder, how much scarier is it to go through your entire life playing the role of someone else? Let me know in the comments, what is one thing that's been blossoming in you that you can feel these tentative petals just starting to open up, that you've been hesitant to admit to turn to examine? Drop that down below. I'd love to hear, and we can all support you in moving towards that honesty, moving towards those dreams and those desires that are taking shape within you. So how does Hekate connect to honesty? Many, many ways, my friend. First of all, from my experience and from what I have heard from many others, Hekate is a fairly demanding goddess. She's not a retributional goddess. I've had some people ask me, like, am I worshiping her the right way? Am I, approaching her the right way? And I think when it comes right down to it, if you're approaching Hekate with a good intention in your heart, with the intention essentially of approaching her because you feel drawn to her, you're good. You're fine. And what I mean when I say that she's demanding is that once that relationship has started forming and you've got that connection going, there are going to be times when she reaches in and says, this is something that I need you to look at. This is somewhere that I need you to go. This is something that I need you to do. And this is something that I need you to stop doing. Like, she's told me many times that I need to stop smoking, which I agree with. I haven't done it yet. And I don't feel like I've had like backlash because of that. But I do know that that's something that continues to be a bit of a sticking point in my relationship with her. And when it comes to honesty, which the smoking is related to that, if I'm being completely honest with myself, A, I don't want to quit smoking, and B, I know it's not helpful for me. The honesty that she calls for is first and foremost honesty to oneself. Honesty about what you want. Honesty about where you're going, where you want to be going. And in conjunction with that, a sense of integrity. Because when you're acting within that scope of honesty towards yourself and others, you are also then acting in integrity. And that makes you a stronger magician, a stronger witch, a stronger psychic, a stronger friend and partner and lover. There are 3 epithets that I found that I really connected with in terms of Hekate and honesty. There are many more that are also applicable, but I wanted to share these 3 with you. One is Hekate ame busa. And if I'm butchering that pronunciation, that is very likely, and I apologize. But Hekate ame busa means one that transforms, and truth transforms 100%. Another one is Hekate deira, the knowing one, knowing the truth of you. And you can call upon this epithet to help bring that truth more to the surface, to help you gain clarity on what that is exactly. And the last that I want to bring to you today is Hekate lamparios, the lamp bearer, the torch bearer. And we can use our truth as the lantern for ourselves to guide us forward step by step. If you are honest with what you want and where you want to go and who you want to be and how you want to show up, you can filter every single decision through that knowledge so that you can do that, so that you can illuminate the next right step. If you are enjoying this video, please drop a like below. It really helps out the algorithm, gets my channel out there to more people, more beautiful people just like you. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I do not know what you are waiting for. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, get the notification bell going so you don't miss any future episodes. I do want to make time to acknowledge that honesty takes courage. And this goes back to the key of courage. Like, that's why courage comes before honesty in my litany, because we need to be able to tap into that courage in order to first be honest with ourselves again, and then honest with the people around us. There's a quote by Kelly J. Bailey, who is a mystery writer, that I found on Goodreads that I really, really liked. You're only responsible for being honest, not for someone else's reaction to your honesty. You need to let other people have their experience of you. Of course, be kind, of course, be loving, but when you try to make sure that someone else has a particular kind of experience of you, that's going right back into dishonesty. When you allow them their full experience, whether that is them wanting to move away from you energetically or having to go through something difficult, like, that's really honoring them. That's giving them autonomy from your end. And I think that that's the most powerful thing that we can do in our relationships, is to allow everyone else to have the right to make that choice, whether they want to be around us or not. And they can only make that choice if they're informed of what they are actually choosing. Also, I do not believe that there is such a thing as brutal honesty. When you bring brutality into it, you bring someone wounded who's acting out and trying to hurt someone. And therein, we loop right back into dishonesty. It's not coming from a fully honest, grounded place. It's coming from a wounded inner child. It's coming from a past hurt being projected onto the present. So if you're going to drop a comment about what about brutal honesty, there's my 2 cents. I would, however, like you to drop a comment about maybe one time that you found yourself leaning into that edge of courage and fear because you needed to say something, because you needed to get your truth out. I would love to hear about it. All right, so your mundane practice for Hekate's Key of Honesty and the Gate of Unrest. This one is a journaling prompt, or a couple of journaling prompts. You'll take out your journal, get yourself a little bit relaxed, grab a cup of tea or a cup of wine, and write this at the top of the page. I hold these truths to be self-evident. And then write down everything that pops up immediately as being true about yourself, true about the world, true about how things work. And then when you're done with that list, write down, I hold these truths to be less evident. This list may require a bit more reflection, because what you're going to be writing down is things that feel kind of true, things that feel very true, but you're very scared to admit to feeling true. And you may find that things on the list of less evident directly contradict with the list of self-evident. And then if you're feeling really spicy, go ahead and take both of those lists through Byron Katie's work. Even just asking the first question of that, which is it true? Is it actually true? Well, the first and second question, can I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is true? And test those thoughts to get to something more and more honest about yourself. If you're enjoying this video and you would like to work with me directly, please check out my coaching offers in the show notes or the description of this episode. I have a couple different options open for you, as well as custom meditations. You can schedule a free 20-minute discovery call with me just to get a nice vibe check, see how we might be able to work together. Again, that link is in the show notes, and I hope to hear from you soon. Then we have our magical practice. So for this key, I'm not going to bring you some complicated ritual, because honesty is not complicated. It's not easy necessarily, but it's probably the least complicated thing. It's when we start layering on dishonesty that things get complex. Honesty is pure. Honesty is the shining light. What I want you to do for this, to engage with this key on a spiritual, magical level, is to pray. You can go about this in a lot of different ways. If you want to use Hekate's prayer from this episode, do that. Making a set of prayer beads, writing your own prayer, all of these are really great methods of getting into prayer. Keep it simple, keep it direct. Pray for honesty. Pray for truth in your life. Pray for the clarity to know what is true, what is honest for yourself. Prayer is also a great thing to use if you tend towards spiraling thoughts. If you find yourself caught up in a whirlwind of something, bring your prayer in and just start reciting that, and that can be a great pattern disruptor. If you have trouble remembering to pray, it can really, really help to essentially stack these habits on top of each other. You're always going to eat. I hope. Please eat. You're always going to fall asleep, or at least want to. And if you can remember, start to remember to do this prayer right before these things are happening, then you'll bring it more and more into your daily life. And it will have an effect on you. I promise it will have an effect on you. I've seen this in myself. I've seen this in many others. Being honest is what I like to call critical pain versus chronic pain. It may hurt a lot in the moment to step into this, but it's going to hurt a lot less than the long-term effects of living in dishonesty, particularly with yourself. John Lennon said that being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it will always get you the right ones. Being honest may very well clear people out of your life, but if someone leaves because you're honest, you don't need them in your life. It would be better for you to go through the pain of loss, to grieve that relationship, and then to move forward and find something, find people, find your community that loves and values your honesty. I love and value your honesty. And there are many other people in the world who will do the same. To go deeper with the key of honesty, check out this meditation that I've made to connect with it on a more integral felt level. And until next time, my lovelies, take care of yourselves, and as always, use your voice.